Hello and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Today we show you another match of the Link to the Past NMG tournament of this year. We are in loser bracket quarterfinals. Matchup is Doomtap versus foxlisk. Commentators for this match will be TMB and this guy are sick. Say hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
And you can also take it from here.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, we are getting close to the end. There's only 6 racers left, I think. We're down to Fox, Doom, Fricker, and whoever Fricker is racing.
That's me.
No, thank you. And thank you. And then Boyne and Airy, who I think are racing tomorrow. So getting really, really close to the end. This should be a really good one. Doom, the second overall seed in the tournament. Fox, the 13th seed. He is the lowest seed remaining. And as he likes to point out, the only 125 runner left, which I think is a monkey he'd like to get off of his back. I know he's been grinding really hard to get the 124 lately. Has gotten really, really close. His PB has dropped down to 125.01. And I was watching him just last night. He had a run that was on pace until he had a Ganon that warped 8 times. So he'll get it soon. It's just a matter of getting the right run, I think. But this should be a really good race. I am very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good. Doomtap definitely favored. I feel like it's hard to overstate how difficult it is to 123, and Doom has been getting that kind of pace semi-regularly. So,
yeah, Doom, remarkably consistent runner. That's one of the things I really, really love watching Doom run. Is very rarely is there something that goes that swings really wildly one way or the other. Doom is pretty much always right there, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Speaking of being right there, here we go. Yeah, this should be good. Doom, I know, has also been playing a lot of Super Mario lately, so he's still very much in practice. But we'll see if there's any rust he needs to shake off. I kind of doubt it. I bet he's still in tip-top shape. He's been taking the tournament really seriously.
Yeah. A lot of this game is really knowledge-based. Knowing what to do is oftentimes the biggest hurdle. So you don't really forget that. So
this is true. So we got this first, not quite 6-minute portion of the game. Is escape. I always describe it as essentially the tutorial portion of the run. There's not a lot to it other than just kind of to get through it. Not a whole lot of danger, not a whole lot of surprises for most runners, particularly runners of this caliber. But you got to get through it to get to the fun stuff. So we'll do that just like we always do. And the beauty of any speed game that once you get to a certain level, there's going to be a lot of resets. Even if you're not a super reset heavy runner, you just you play it a lot, and you don't finish it as often as you start it. So these guys are really, really good at escape because they've probably done escape more than any other segment. Such is the way things go.
Yeah, probably. Just trying to think. Neither of them are really do too much rando, so.
Fox had a little bit of trouble there with the first key guard. Not a huge deal, but did lose him maybe 1 or 2 seconds. But 1 or 2 seconds, 2 minutes into the run, not a huge deal. But he is going to want to be careful about not losing as much time as he can to little things like that when he's up against somebody of Doom's caliber, if he wants to have a shot at winning today.
Honestly, the health is a bit more concerning. Like you said, the time, just a couple seconds, is not going to be that big of a deal early on. But all it takes here is like bad ball and chain. You can hit once and you're down to 1 heart, and then it gets kind of dicey at that point. So
this is true. I don't imagine either runner will be opting to skip the Sanctuary Heart at the end, which is really when your health gets dicey and you want to be careful about where you're at through escape. But I guess we'll see how it goes. Speaking of ball and chain, Doom's coming up on that now. Oh, and Fox did take a hit, so Fox already down to 1 heart. So he is going to want to be careful. Ball and chain, by far the most dangerous part of this segment. So it's downhill from here, but there is still a lot of stuff left to go. So he will need to be cognizant of just not taking too many hits from, snakes and rats and that sort of thing.
There is 1 heart along the way that we'll probably get, because it's like 20 frames. It's not very slow to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
In a race here, dying is extremely bad. So,
yes.
Like,
yeah, not ideal.
In a PP setting, I would definitely see Fox skipping that heart, because it's like 20 frames and you don't expect escape to go poorly, but then you're picking up Sank Heart at the end, and if you don't get it, you just reset and you lose 3 minutes of your life. Who cares?
Yeah, but you, especially in a tournament setting, you see more safe strats than you typically do. Although I say that later this evening we're going to have Fricker and Dow racing. Fricker, I have noticed watching his races, doesn't really bother with a whole lot of marathon safety, and I remember him talking about it a little bit. He has said that a lot of it just boils down to muscle memory. He does what he's used to, because he finds that changing his strats for a marathon setting to be more safe does him more harm than good. So there's definitely a school of thought one way or the other. But yeah, I agree. Here is better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to take a death less than 6 minutes into the game. That would be pretty devastating. And yep, Fox did go ahead and pick up that safety heart like you predicted he would.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like at 1 heart, it's so easy for just 1 or 2 things to go wrong. You get hit by the ropes, and just like that, I mean, yeah, you just don't want to take that chance.
Yep. Very true.
Now, Doomtap probably won't skip Sank Heart, but he hasn't gotten hit yet. So
that's true. So if ever there was a time for him to skip it, it would be this run, because the thing about getting the Sanctuary Heart obviously gets you an additional heart for the rest of the run. It also gets you a health refill. Oh no, Fox missed the key. Had to go back and pick up the key from the key rat. There's another little time loss. The thing about getting the Sanctuary Heart, it gives you an additional heart for the rest of the run, but it also refills your health, which you don't otherwise get at the end of escape. Most dungeons, after you finish them, you get a health refill. At the end of escape, you do not. So the Sanctuary Heart serves to refill your hearts in addition to giving you an extra one. So Doom taking no damage. We'll see. I don't know. He might decide to skip it. Although that's not really in his... That's not a habit of his. He usually doesn't skip it, even during PB attempts.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah. With his current PB, I'm pretty sure he did skip it, but it's like... Yeah, it's 3 seconds in a race. There's mostly going to be 3 splits that we're concerned about the extra health. This one right here, Eastern, mostly because the refill, which is what Fox got. Hera, kind of. Hera has a tendency to just kill you if it's going to kill you, no matter what your health is.
Right.
And then Palace of Darkness. And then we're not too concerned about health in any other segment. I guess sometimes Turtle Rock can be pretty rough, and having 13 is a lot better than having 12, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 13 over 12 by the time you get to Turtle Rock is significant, in large part because a lot of the stuff you encounter in Turtle Rock does exactly 4 hearts of damage. So having something that is greater than multiples of 4 can sometimes save your life. But yeah, once you're at 8 or 9 hearts worth of max health, you have enough health that most runners aren't going to be too terribly concerned about it. Doom having a really clean overworld on his way to Eastern Palace. Fox a tiny bit of trouble, but no huge stumbles. And Eastern Palace, the first real dungeon of the game, with our first boss.
I mean, eh.
Yeah. Hera's the first real dungeon of the game. But this one has a crystal. How about that? Or no, I guess not a crystal, a pendant.
Yeah. The thing about Eastern and Escape is that because we're just walking, and there's a few things we got to look out for, but because we're just walking, you get really consistent at these splits. Kind of just don't pay attention for the first 11 or so minutes of the run.
Yeah, a lot of this, like you say, especially early on, a lot of this is kind of autopilot because you do this so often and you practice it so much that I don't know if you could literally do it blindfold, but you could, figuratively do it blindfolded. Certainly. There's a lot of muscle memory at play here. And like you say, before you pick up the Pegasus boots, movement is very consistent and hard to do badly. Fox smartly picking up a red rupee drop there. So he's pretty well set on money now with 31 rupees already.
Even at 11, so in that case, it's probably not worth it to boom the red rupee. It does give you peace of mind. You don't have to worry about it at all. But you're already at 11. Chances are good you're going to get a few more rupees, and you only need to get to 14 to be totally. So.
Yeah, Doom currently at 12. So unless he gets a draw, which 12 is already also pretty darn good. He's also in really good shape. But like you say, he will need to get to 14 by the time we get to the Aghanim Tower segment, which for anyone who isn't familiar with the run, I'm going to guess that's not very many people here. We will explain in more detail when we get there. But rupee count is something they will want to keep an eye on, suffice to say.
Yeah, thing is arrows. Honestly, these last few rooms in Eastern are surprisingly difficult. If you get good RNG like that, it's not too bad, but there's just a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah, not super hard to do. Very hard to do fast.
And missed the arrow drop.
Yeah, I saw Doom got the drop but didn't pick it up. Oh, and then Fox having a little bit of trouble with the ZGR there. So that's what we were kind of saying is having a lot of trouble. Oof. Okay. Anyway, yeah, not terribly difficult rooms in general, but very hard to do well, which Fox just demonstrated for us. That shouldn't be something that Fox struggles just to execute, but in trying to do it really quickly, things can go wrong. Also had a little bit of trouble on getting the quick kill on Armos there. I don't know if he missed an arrow during the setup or what. But because of that, had to burn 2 extra arrows. The idea with the Armos fight is you want to kill them in such an order at such a speed that the very last Armos never has time to go extra aggro and turn red. And it only takes, 3 arrows total to kill him. If you don't do it quickly enough, then you end up having to spend 2 extra arrows after he turns red. Now, Fox had to do that, so his arrow count, he's still at 9, so he's fine, but he would have been at 11.
Yeah, and Doomtap showing off why spin speed is the worst trick in the game. One frame.
It's frustrating.
And then you do it the exact same way and you get it the 3rd time. Sure, whatever.
I remember when I was trying to learn how to do spin speed, I just could not figure it out. People were trying to describe it to me. I was having the worst time with it until Ninnies, who doesn't run the game much anymore, but was for a long time a runner of this game, and is a friend of mine, literally just sent me a Snapchat of himself doing it, and it just clicked. I was like, oh, that's what you mean. Fox going for the unholy spin speed here on his way to the library. Oh, how having to take 2 shots at it, which probably means he's, I don't know if he lost time there on that, but probably just sort of broke even.
Loses about half a second. Maybe closer to a second.
Oh, wow. And that's why a lot of folks just don't even bother with that particular spin speed, because, like you said, worst trick in the game.
Okay. I didn't see exactly Fox's movement there, but sometimes that guard just doesn't aggro. There's movement you can do to make it more likely, but I don't know if there's anything that's both fast and 100% consistent. So sometimes it's...
Oh yeah, I missed it entirely. Did he get hit by the bow and arrow guard?
By the first guard after the library screen.
Oh. Curious. Not the end of the world. Just missing half a heart going in a desert, but more frustrating just to lose the time that it takes to take a hit.
Anything that interrupts a dash actually ends up being pretty significant in terms of time loss. Usually it's at least a second, sometimes 2 or 3.
Doomtap, meanwhile, getting well into Desert Palace now. So far, no hiccups for him, which is good. And Desert Palace is nicely designed in such a way that it serves as a great introductory to using the Pegasus boots. Lots of really long, straight hallways for you to dash across. So it goes, but it's a huge dungeon, but it goes by really quickly because you can just sprint basically the whole thing.
Nice dash out on Doom's side, in between the cannonball.
Yeah, he got good cannonball RNG, both up and down.
He got well, it's an awkward RNG. It's not the best.
Oh,
You can't dash straight up, but Fox getting the weird RNG, which, yeah, you're just
handled
gonna
it well though.
lose over a second when it happens.
Doom picking up the, the power glove? Is that the technical term for that?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Now he can pick up heavy things. Hooray.
There is, like, not that interesting of a split. It's got a couple of things that basically just lose you time. Cannonball, bad RNG. Popo bad RNG in this upcoming room can be really annoying if you get the 7-10 split here, which we do.
Fun.
Yeah. Desert is like... Even though the RNG is going to cost you time, it's not going to be hard to deal with. Until we get to Landmo, and then it's impossible.
FSG, nothing, not one individual thing has cost Fox a lot of time, but he's had several mishaps already. He did not have a great escape segment by his own standards, and then had a lot of trouble with ZGR and a little bit of trouble on Armos. So not playing his best currently, but still a lot of run left.
Oh, Doom almost had a 2-cycle, but
yeah,
a little bit unfavorable. But easy
nice,
there.
Nice quick 3-cycle, which is, I think most people will take that. Certainly in a tournament setting, that's something you live with.
But that pretty aggressive to go for the 2-cycle there, but I think both these guys have 1 hit left. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay, so Fox managed to save the 3-cycle, but it was close. Both runners opting to use the boom menu, which is fairly recently discovered tech. We found that, I had nothing to do with it. Someone found that if you menu to the boomerang during the pendant fall after the Landmo fight, it doesn't actually lose you any time. So people do that sometimes because it helps move pickles out of the way, just to have the boomerang there and handy. It's a nice thing to have up your sleeve. I know a lot of runners haven't really bothered incorporating it, probably as much for muscle memory purposes as anything else.
In a lot of instances, you can also arrow things that are in your way. Arrow counts for both of them are pretty good, so it's not a big deal, but
Yeah, good shape.
you have, 6 arrows coming out of landmo. You really don't want to do that. So
yeah, and Fox demonstrating that there, he did have to boomerang a pickle that was in his way right before fake flippers, and did a second one there. That's the one where it's really nice, because that pickle right before the cave is always going to be there. So that's something you can always rely on using the boomerang for, or like you say, arrows if you've got enough of them.
I do think that it has one advantage over the bow. Well, I guess 2. It doesn't use arrows, but you can hit deathmarks, and the bow can't. So at least I don't think.
All right, we'll see how Death Mountain treats Doomtap. So far, so good. First try spin speed. Oh wow, very favorable Death Mountain. No cabbages getting in his way. No squirrel troubles at all. That was nice. That was a really nice climb up the mountain. Now it's Fox's turn. We'll see how it goes.
Getting hit by one boulder, especially right as you come off the ladder, not a big deal.
Not a huge deal, yeah. Hera is difficult enough and unpredictable enough that you do want to have as much health as possible going into it, but Fox at 4.5 hearts should be in perfectly good shape.
Doom, I'm surprised he didn't get hit, actually.
Dude, you got it really close. All right, Doom going with the boomerang strats here for the tile room. I am almost positive that Fox does not, so we'll see differing strategies here. And Doom losing a little bit of time because he's having to hit the switch multiple times here, attempting the boomerang dash. Looks like he's just not going to bother doing it at all. So Doom probably losing most of the benefit he's going to have from using the boom strat here. Which is to say, you lose a little bit of time doing an extra menuing to the boomerang, but in the next room coming up right after this, you don't have to hit the switch. Except Doom did. So that's just going to end up being a time loss every way you slice it compared to what Fox is doing right now. Which
both
is
of them managed to lose health in tile room.
Just hitting the switch. Sorry, say it again?
Both of them lost health in tile room, which really shouldn't happen. But I guess here we are. It's a tournament and anything goes.
Yeah, the tile room is one of those where runners, especially good runners, get so bored doing it that I think sometimes they sort of lose concentration a little bit. And yeah, you take a hit or two. Oh dear. Okay, Fox cleaned that strat up pretty well. Fox and Doomtap both had a little bit of trouble there in the Beetle switch room. I can't remember the actual name of that room.
Beetles. Because we're so creative with our names.
I was gonna say it's not the petting zoo. Petting zoo's later.
This is petting zoo. Fox is rich.
He is filthy rich and smartly picking up the heart there in the bottom pot. And Doomtap now on to Moldorm. Moldorm has been kind of a jerk this tournament. I've seen a few falls. Please tell me I did not just curse him.
I hope not. Okay, that's unfortunate. But we're gonna be fine. Yeah,
Okay, cool. So no problems with the Moldorm fight for Doomtap. Fox coming up on it now.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm sorry. That's all my fault. That one's me.
Fox did miss play that. Didn't read what Moldorm was doing correctly there. Most of the time, when you get knocked off, it is your fault. Sometimes it's not. Most of the time it is.
Yeah, Moldorm is mean, but Moldorm is more difficult than mean. Top runners very rarely have bad or even lengthy Moldorm fights. I think the best strategy for fighting Moldorm is to be really aggressive about it, but you can't really be that aggressive with Moldorm until you reach a certain skill level. So that's one of the tough things.
Yeah. And Moldorm has an AI, and it's actually it's relatively simple, but it's very unpredictable. So what you're really looking for is Moldorm to charge you, because that's like the only part of the AI that is consistent. And Fox just either wasn't prepared for it or misunderstood where in the cycle he was, and so kind of allowed Moldorm to chase him all the way to the edge, which is not what you want.
So Doomtap here grabbing the Master Sword. We can see their splits, so kind of give you an update a little bit about time. Grabbing the Master Sword in low 23:40. I think it was 41 or 42, which is a very respectable time. We'll see how Fox does. Fox already behind going into the Moldorm fight, and then obviously that fall on Moldorm, losing him a significant amount of time. 24-23 for Fox. So what is that? Probably about a 40-second deficit right now for Fox.
Yeah.
But all of Dark World still to go, obviously, and anything can happen.
Dark World is interesting because anything can happen, but I definitely expect Doom to kind of push his advantage more in Dark World, relatively. Only thing that would really counteract that is, of course, deaths, which there are plenty of places to die. So
yeah, I've done commentary for at least one of Fox's other races, and what I always say about Fox is he has a very, very strong late game. Fox closes very, very well. The problem with that today is Doom has a strong everything game. There is a reason he's the number 2 seed in the tournament and one of a very short list of people who has a 123 PB in this game. Doomtap's just really good at the whole thing. Oh, although he messed up that room there with the fairy skip setup.
Tried to go a little bit too fast there. Also, it's really bad that he got the heart. Not terrible, but could be. So,
can you explain why, for as much as for my benefit as everyone else's?
Because we are looking to get a fairy drop in Turtle Rock, and Dark Maze is the worst room in Agate Tower by far. We're looking to get a fairy drop in Turtle Rock, hopefully right before Chomps, so it's less likely they kill us. But there is at least one more enemy that we are extremely likely to kill that could drop that fairy between now and then, which is not what we want to see. Doom could have walked under that guard, and I think thought about it and then changed his mind. And
very nearly fell off of the platform as a result. That was kind of a close call. Yes, Ari, Moldorm happened to Fox. A few things have happened to Fox. He has not been having a great run by his standards, but he had a Moldorm fall as well. Good Circle of Pots RNG for Doom, and making the most of it. That was a really clean room. Coming up, Fox will be approaching the Circle of Pots room here in a little bit as well. Fox does one of my favorite things. Oh, have a little bit.
How was that a beam hit and not a sword hit?
Yeah, I have no idea. It looks clean to me. I bet he's just as confused as we are. Okay, so in this room here that Fox is in right now, he does a strat that I see. Okay, he didn't do it today. Oh, because he already has beams. Never mind. Something Fox does that I've never seen anybody else do. If he doesn't have beams entering that room with the 2 red guards, he will menu to the boomerang and throw the boomerang to the right, just automatically, because that second red guard has a really high chance of dropping a heart. And if he's within 1 heart away from getting beams back, he'll grab that heart as he walks out of the room so that he has beams back for the very last dark section, where there's a guard you can knock off of a platform. But he already had beams, so I didn't get to point out that strat today. I was really looking forward to pointing that one out. It's one of my favorite things in the entire game. I love that he does it. Anyway, Doom well into the first Aghanim fight, and Fox just starting it out. And we'll see what blue balls do to us today. I missed the beginning of Doomtap, so I'm not sure how many he has.
More than 0. I'm not paying that much attention. Just 1, I think?
Yeah. It must have been 1 or 2, because he didn't get an extra warp. I've already seen at least 2 with Fox. Okay, Yoke says 1 for... And I think that might be 3 already for Fox.
Ball sucks.
So, yeah, Aghanim deciding that he doesn't want to make this race more compelling. Fine, be that way. See if we care. Oof. I think 15 might still be live. No, okay, there we go. No longer live.
15 is, yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
No, I've never seen anybody get 15. I think the most I've ever seen is 11.
Yeah, I think I've had 12 once in like 3 years. So
the most I've ever had, the most I've ever had is 9, I think, but I haven't been running the game all that long. Holy goodness gracious. Anyway, to explain what's happening for anyone who may not be familiar, this Aghanim fight, the way to beat Aghanim is to reflect these energy balls back at him 6 times. You have to do it 6 times. But you have a 50-50 chance of either getting an energy ball or what we call blue balls, which is just little blue energy balls. And the blue balls cannot be deflected. And every time, well, not every single time, but for all intents and purposes, every time that Aghanim fires a ball at you, you got a 50-50 chance of it either being an energy ball or a blue ball. And the maximum number of balls you can get, blue balls you can get, is 15. So Doomtap got 1, which is great. Average is 2 or 3. And Fox got a lot. Looks like 8, somebody said in chat.
Yeah, 8 is about a minute time loss. So
yeah, every blue ball costs you about 6 seconds. So that sucks.
Yeah, so this is almost 2 minutes, which I would not say is insurmountable, but
if Fox wants to win, something terrible is going to have to happen to Doomtap.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Doom will have to die to cold stare or something.
Could even just be, well, I mean, let's not go through all the ways that we can lose 2 minutes because we don't want that to happen. But yeah, normally we say you can kind of chip away at a lead, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, but no, not in this case. So gonna be tough.
But all the same, don't change that dial, because there are still a lot of ways you can lose 2 minutes, and even if that doesn't happen, both of these runners have worked very, very, very hard to be here, and we should all appreciate their skill level at running the game, because it is still very impressive what they're doing. Man, that sucks with the blue balls, though. Ugh. Anyway,
and there's the fairy.
We're on to the Dark World. Is that fairy that Doomtap just got a bad thing?
Oh, that's not good.
Okay. Anyway, Doomtap just now executed a hammer jump and did it so quickly that I couldn't really talk about it. Hammer jump, one of the more difficult tricks in the game. It is a double pixel perfect placement of Link, as well as, well, I guess you also have to place 2 bombs, although the bombs are significantly less finicky about where they're placed. So it's hard to do, period. And to make matters worse, you're on a timer because the floor is falling out from underneath you. So you have to do it quickly, and you have to do it precisely. And it's a very, very difficult trick to learn, but it's also a necessary trick to learn, because the alternative to doing hammer jump is to just do it really, really slowly. Yeah, Doom, I don't think used any extra menu buffers or anything, which is so impressive to me, when I do hammer jump, I still use several menu buffers. So watching people who are really good at it is really kind of a work of art as far as I'm concerned. Watching people be able to just set up their positioning that cleanly and that quickly, it's really cool. Fox coming up on that now. See how it goes for him. Also, no extra menu buffers. So yeah, about as fast as hammer jump can go for both runners.
Yeah, and here is Helmasaur King. Honestly, the biggest reason to just never drop Tank Heart. This boss right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 21 total hits, 17 to break the mask, 4 to break Helmasaur, and we are going to do spin speed here, so we're doing pretty good. We're getting good RNG here. Should be fine. Yeah, we're in great shape.
Yep. All right. Yep. Nice and easy Helmasaur fight for Doomtap. So Dow mentioned spin speed. This is also a relatively recent, although it's been a few months now, discovery that if you arm the spin speed state, now there's no staircase in the room, so you can't get spin speed itself. But if you arm the spin speed state, it makes the hammer's hitbox a lot bigger, which makes the fight a lot less scary, because you have to get really close to Helmasaur in order to hit him with the hammer. And without the spin speed state, it is uncomfortably close, especially with Helmasaur's propensity to charge at you. So spin speed state, very nice for that fight, especially for the last phase of that fight after the helmet is off. The 4 additional hits to actually do damage and then kill Helma. Really, really, really small window to do that in.
Well, not the turtles we want.
Tiny bit of trouble with turtles. Ugh, well, more than a tiny bit, but no damage, which is good. I don't know if that qualifies as a turtle party so much as turtle Netflix and chill. I don't know.
I don't know. Turtles just kind of do their own thing, and I have no idea what they were doing. Well, Fox typing in chat is not what we want to see. But it's looking pretty good so far. All right, yeah. This fight is good. Okay.
All right, excellent. Yeah, that was a pretty cooperative Helmasaur, actually. Helmasaur just stayed right at the very top of the screen for most of that fight. Which, if Helmasaur is going to stay put, it'd be nice if they would stay put at the bottom of the screen so you don't have to walk as far, but I guess I won't complain about Helmasaur not moving around a lot.
Yeah, I know Fox types, I just, yeah, that's not a line you want to read.
Fox is a notorious typer and runner, which I get used to from I hang out with a lot of Final Fantasy speedrunners, and those games take like 8, 9, 10 hours, and there's cutscenes that last 10 minutes. So you see a lot of typing from them, but Link to the Past is not really a game where there's just tons of time to hang out. Very input-heavy speedrun, with the exception of, where Fox is right now, this segment where you're just mashing through text. That's about the only opportunity you have to just chill out and type. Doomtap making his way through this screen, no problem whatsoever. There's a guard there that is just on steroids. for how quickly they move. So spin speed, very important for that screen, and no problem whatsoever for Doomtap.
Yeah.
Did Fox get hit by that bird?
Sure did.
That sucks.
Missing that hammer dash is also really bad because
Mm-hmm.
at least Fox was, smart and hit the enemy's back. But a bad habit you can get into is missing it and then trying it again and immediately getting hit.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Smartly knocked the guard out of the way before his second attempt, but that always sucks to not get it first try because it costs a lot of time.
Luckily, this is probably like the second easiest split in Dark World.
Yeah, these sound not terribly difficult. The dungeon itself has a couple of little scary moments, but the boss fight at the end against Blind, as most runners will tell you, is literally free. That is assuming you don't mess it up. So I don't expect to see any exciting stuff from here on out for the rest of this split, but I've been wrong before.
On Doom's side, 8 hearts here. There's really not so much would have to go wrong that it's not worth considering. On Fox's side, it only really takes like 1 or 2 things. It's just like you get frame ruled in the attic, and then you get bad prison RNG, and all of a sudden your health is 1.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, all it would really take is just a really bad Hellway.
I'd be surprised.
Win the day really
I could
fast.
see like 3 hearts in Hellway. It's rough. On Doom side, it's great.
Yeah, speaking of Hellway, Doom getting the God Pixel and good RNG and making his way through it in record time. So he's got to be happy with that.
It was really good RNG because he didn't even get the lag.
Yeah, I don't think Hellway can be done faster than that. Oof. Fox picking up a bush instead of dashing through it. So far, no surprises for Doomtap, which is exactly what he wants to see. Oh, that was nice use of a menu from Doomtap to read the RNG of the room, and then take the time to go underneath the anti-fairy.
I don't know if he normally menus there or only if he sees that particular RNG.
Yeah, I don't know, but I liked it. It was smart. So Doom on his way into the jail portion of this dungeon to pick up the princess. If you're not familiar with the game, if you are familiar with the game, it's not the princess. Spoiler alert.
Well, that's because the princess isn't Turtle Rock. This is just a regular old maiden. She's not that special.
Okay, fair enough. Now this is my lack of knowledge. Now you said that you said early on one of the big things about this game is knowledge based. Here's my lack of knowledge. The conveyor room that Doomtap went through just a little bit ago that Fox will be coming up on in a minute, where you dash north past the conveyors. I feel like somebody told me recently, if you walk to the right into the center of the room instead of dashing onto the conveyor, the red berry at the top will literally never get in your way. Is that true?
Not literally never, but almost never. It's like
That's cool.
1 in 100, 1 in 200 or something where it might hit you. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's very rare. Whereas with dashing, because you get there a little bit faster, it's much more common. It's still not likely by any means, but it's more common.
Very cool. Uh-oh. Fox went for the hammer on that guy and just whiffed. So let's see. I'll get an update for our deficit here on Doomtap's Sword Up. I'm gonna guess it's probably grown a little bit. Doomtap, that looked to me like a much cleaner Thieves Town for Doomtap than it has been for Fox so far.
Yeah, I mean, most of that's RNG, but
yeah, the game has not been kind to Fox in general. So there you go. There's Fox walking over to the center of the conveyor and then dashing up, and the red berry was not even remotely in his way. So that's cool. Learn something new every day. All right, Fox coming up on the blind fight. So I mentioned, this gets said ad nauseum, but I feel like it's mandatory to explain it at this point. I mentioned this fight should literally be free for most high-level runners. That is because this is a scripted fight. If you, or Link, or you as the player controlling Link, do the same movements every single time, then Blind will do the same movements every single time, and the fight should go exactly the same every single time, and it should take all of, 9 seconds. Now, every now and then it will go sideways. If you get off script, the fight becomes much more difficult. And deaths to Blind, which we did not see today, fortunately, but deaths on the Blind fight are not unheard of. And they're especially annoying because a Blind refight, there is no script for a Blind refight. So you just have to sort of wing it after that. And it's not easy.
Well, there is a script, but the only people who know it are people who've done RBO. So, yeah, because that one gets to Thieves, does a lot of tricky things, but yeah, doesn't do Thieves the same way we do it in NMG.
Oh, I told you I was going to get you an update on the deficit, and then I didn't because I missed Fox's Sword Up time, but probably about 2 minutes still.
Yeah, 2 minutes or so. Like, Doom probably made up a couple seconds or expanded his lead by a couple seconds in Thieves, but at this point, we're not really looking for 2 or 3 seconds.
Yep. Nice mummy room for Doomtap. That's a room that, when it goes badly, it always seems like it goes really badly if those mummies get in your way. But the majority of the time, especially with runners of this level, not a lot of problems that you see. Doom with a little bit of funky movement trying to align his dashes there. No early bomb jumps today. Coward.
I mean, Skull early bomb jump saves like less than a second or something, or like barely a second.
Yeah, but I enjoy criticizing people for not doing things that I couldn't do on my very best day. It brings me joy, Tao. Marie Kondo says that I should do things that spark joy. And unfairly criticizing people for playing video games quickly is right at the top of the list. Anyway, meanwhile, Doom... Is Doom doing Joe Mumway?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good strat. It loses
great strat. I didn't think he did that. I thought he did the optimal strat that I can't remember the name of.
There's only 2 reasons to do the optimal strat. One is you want to save 15 frames, and the other is you've played a lot of low percent.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so Fox had just a little bit of trouble with that mummy room that I mentioned that can go sideways. Fortunately, only took 1 hit from a mummy, so only down 2 hearts, but cost him just probably 2 or 3 seconds trying to get through it.
That was a fantastic Moth fight.
Oh yes. Yeah, Moth is so Blind is scripted. Moth is not, but what did you say about Moldworm, that Moldworm has an AI? Moth also kind of has an AI. And there are really good strategies for doing Moth really, really quickly. And when Mothula cooperates, then it does go really, really quickly. But every now and then it doesn't, and the fight can kind of drag on. Reason being, again, this is, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, and this is something unique to the Japanese 1.0 version of the game that we run on. There's an issue where, I think it's unique anyway, there's an issue where if you hit the Moth into the spikes, the fact that it's doing double damage, because it does damage with the sword and then damage on the spikes, it just cancels out. So instead of doing 2 hits worth of damage, you do no hits worth of damage. So in an ideal world, you do not want the Moth to be hanging out on the edges of the screen, or else the fight just never ends. But there is a strategy for doing... it takes 4 hits to kill the Moth. There's a strategy for doing 2 of those 4 before Mothula even starts moving. And we'll see Fox implement that right now. There you go. That's good. So Fox has already done... Oh, accidentally opened the map.
Map buffers, okay.
So yeah, if you kind of do a dash poke at the very beginning of the fight, you can get half of Moth's damage out of the way immediately, and then the rest of the fight is a lot easier. Oh no, Doom went for Quick Fish and missed. That, kids, is why you should never ever do Quick Fish.
I mean, Skull Woods is, kind of a confusing dungeon, so checking the map makes sense, right?
Yeah. Fox just wanted to know where he was. All right, Doom on to Zora's Domain, which anyone will tell you is one of the hardest screens in the game. Very deceptively so. Because it's not like there's a lot of... Well, there are a lot of enemies. It's not like there's a lot of dangerous enemies. How about that? But moving in water is very slow. And moving in deep water is impossible until we get the fins, which we're doing right now.
Right. Fox is having a run.
Yeah, what happened? I was watching. What did he do?
He fluted to 5.
Oh, no. Fox, baby, what is you doing? Oh, dear.
It's like pretty easy to flute to the wrong place if you're trying to navigate the flute menu quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's one of those things where it's muscle memory. I'm gonna bet most people don't even bother looking at the screen when they're fluting. You just assume that your fingers are pushing the button the right number of times.
Exactly.
Oh boy. Anyway, Zora's Domain, really hard. Very, very difficult screen to do well. If you don't really care about doing it well, then it's not really that hard, because there's not any opportunities to die or anything. It's going to take you forever. Oh, Fox also missing out on Quick Fish. Oh boy.
We talked about doing safer strats because it's a tournament race, right? And then both of them go for a strat that saves 10 frames. So, I don't know. It's just funny.
Hey, man. To each their own, I suppose. I know Fox is a really big proponent of Quick Fish, I know. He was at one point in time anyway. Because the only reason I even know about Quick Fish is from watching Fox. He's the first person I ever saw do it. I missed the screen before this, but Doomtap must have either messed up or not bothered trying the double bomb setup in the bombable floor room, because he did have to hit the switch there in the conveyor room. So that'll slow him down a tiny bit, but not a huge deal.
You got bad RNG from the berries and kind of played the room very aggressively so that you could still do it, but hard to play the room fast and handle it when you get bad RNG.
Yeah. Otherwise, seems the dungeon is going really well for him. He's only down 1 heart, and that's a heart that you lose automatically because you deliberately walk into an enemy. We'll see how Cold Stare goes. Fox, meanwhile, just now entering into Ice Palace. Has beams, fortunately, which makes this first room a lot easier. It's always a bummer when you don't have beams going into Ice Palace, because you either have to waste a fire rod shot or wait on that berry to unelectrify itself.
Now we've got the Cold Stare fight, which should be 1 poke, 2 spins, and 1 slash. There you go. Perfectly done.
Yep, just like they drew it up. Cold Stare is scary. Not because it's, again, like most boss fights, the best way to play Cold Stare is aggressively. But if it goes sideways, there's a decent chance that Cold Stare can kill you. If Cold Stare kills you, in most cases, not in a tournament, obviously, but in most cases, your run is over. You see a lot of folks just reset when that happens. Because you have to have a full magic bar dropping into the Cold Stare fight. Because it takes all 8 of your fire rod shots, which is your entire magic bar, to break Cold Stare out of their little, I don't know, ice shell thing. And there's not a lot of opportunity in the dungeon itself to fill up your magic bar. So if you die, what most people will do is just skip Ice Palace for the time being and move on to the next palace, which is Swamp. And then come back and do Ice later. Which means you're like wasting, 7 minutes? So it is a massive time sink.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Yes, and also come back and get blue mail.
And Doom showing why some people get Ether in the Swamp Split. Took a hit on Death Mountain that he didn't want, which means he doesn't have beams, which matters a little bit, both for Swamp and Mire, but usually more for Mire.
Yep. So Fox dropping into Cold Stare now. Also no problem, except for kind of a slow menu.
Around these parts, we call those Josh menus.
Oh, poor Josh. Josh, I think your menus are great, man.
You haven't watched it enough?
No, I have not. Fox pointing out, and he may not be wrong, as much as I love Fox, he may not be wrong right now. Doom could probably go back and get blue mail and still win the race. That might be true. We'll see. Alright, so I didn't sleep very well last night. Apparently. I thought I slept fine, but then I almost fell asleep after lunch. So I guess I didn't sleep very well. So before the race started, I went out and I got, because I don't drink coffee, but I needed caffeine. I went out to McDonald's because they have these like slushies, but it's Fanta, but it's blue raspberry, which I didn't even know was a thing. I didn't know Fanta made blue raspberry flavored anything, but it's a blue raspberry Fanta slushie, and it's the best thing I have ever eaten or drank. Do you eat or drink slushies? You drink them, right? Yeah. It's the best thing I've ever drank in my entire life. And I am now wired. I'm not sleeping for a week. I bring that up now because I need to fill some airtime, because Swamp is really boring. And that's where Doom is now, and where Fox is on his way to. Swamp casually, like the way that this game is designed to be played, Swamp is supposed to be well, I think the second, right? The second dungeon you do in the Dark World.
Mhm.
So it's not very hard. The enemies here don't do a lot of damage. Most of them aren't really going to be much of a threat to kill you. It's just kind of slow moving because you spend so much time walking through water. And it's... I found it really difficult to learn when I was first learning the run. Just because it all looks the same. And there's a lot of backtracking back and forth through the main hub and the rooms that branch off of it. So it was really hard for me to memorize this dungeon. But once you memorize it, not hard to do. Now, like most things in the game, really hard to do well. But I don't anticipate seeing any major disasters here. About the worst thing that probably could happen, knock on wood, is somebody misses the 0 cycle Argus, which is the fast way to kill the boss at the end.
Well, Fox did miss the block delete because he was going for the item dash.
Oh, great.
Which costs you, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds or so for a room that is actually trivial if you just walk. Because all you do is hold up and mash Y.
Mm-hmm. I would not be shocked if at this point Fox is feeling a little memey. Hey, he got a nice D-boost there, so that's fun.
I don't think that every room is trivial. If you tried to walk the room Doomtap just went through, you're going to have to do a lot more avoiding of enemies and everything.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You see a lot of dashing in this dungeon. I mean, you see a lot of dashing in every dungeon because dashing is faster than walking. Duh. But you see an especially large amount of dashing in this dungeon because ordinarily, over regular terrain, dashing is only worth it if you have to traverse more than, 4.5 tiles? Pixels?
Yeah.
Pixels? Tiles? Are those the same thing? Whatever. No. 4.5 is the magic number. When you're walking around in knee-deep water like they are right now, it's worth it to dash basically regardless of how far you're moving. So you want to dash essentially everywhere in this dungeon.
I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. This dungeon is, pretty complex, actually. It's just that most of the complexities save not that much. So, it's not worth worrying about for a while.
Me oversimplifying things?
Well,
never.
I'm just talking about even I don't think this is a dungeon that most people really should practice until they're trying to get to 123. Obviously there's some things you want to, but it is even more complex than probably even Fox would give it credit for. So
yeah, the one thing that you really should spend a lot of time practicing in Swamp is the Argus fight, which Doom is coming up on right now, because getting the 0 cycle versus not getting the 0 cycle, which Doomtap is not going to get the 0 cycle, is a really significant difference in time. I don't know. Do you know how much difference there is?
And it depends on what Argus does, but it's between 6 to 8 seconds usually, so pretty significant.
So there you go. Doomtap with a 1 cycle Argus fight. Certainly not enough to make or break this race, but we'll see. We'll see how Fox's fight goes. And 0 cycle, not easy. I've only recently started practicing it, and it kicks my butt.
I think it's the hardest game.
Yeah, it's really tough. And you see even really, really high level runners just mess it up for no reason other than it's just really hard to do. I mean, case in point, Doomtap, a 123 level runner, just didn't get it. And that happens. Yes, also true. There are some RNGs where it just makes it impossible.
Do we know how many of the RNGs are impossible? Doesn't Argus have 65,000 different RNGs or something?
See, I'm in FFG's corner here. You should never practice anything. You should only get really good at the multitude of different ways that the game is hecking you. It's always the game's fault. It's never me. Sometimes it's my controller. But most of the time it's the game. Fox with a really good swim. Didn't have to move at all, so that's nice. Alright, let's see how this goes.
I just got a... Okay.
Oh.
Had a good setup, but... Like... Yeah. I don't know. Just press one button.
Yeah.
Outside the 3-frame window you have to press it. So.
Oh! Having a lot of trouble with this fight. So what Fox was trying to do, and what Doom did do, the way you kill Argus is by hitting him with 2 fire rod shots and a spin. The alternative and slightly slower strat is to hit him with 2 spins and not bother menuing to the fire rod at all. But Fox, it looks like, missed with one of the fire rod shots, and then maybe even missed again? I don't know.
What tends to happen when you miss the rod shot is you poke Argus, which turns it into a 3-cycle.
Yeah, Fox summing up this run pretty succinctly right now with Bad Day, which is very true. Fox is not playing up to his level right now. I watched him do a run, I think I mentioned this earlier, I watched him do a run just last night where he was on 124 pace until he got a really bad Ganon. Which is especially frustrating when Ganon steals your PB from you. Anyway, now we're, let's see, Doomtap well into the Mire segment. This right here where Doomtap is right now is a very common place for runners to check their times when you light those torches. Because I think the general consensus is basically whatever time you're at when you hit the torches, that plus about 20 minutes is kind of what you're on pace for as a final time.
In both of these learners' cases, I would expect less than 20 minutes. Well, no, they're getting Ice Rod, right? So
yeah, I don't think either one of them's got Ice Rod yet.
Yeah, so maybe about 20 minutes or a little bit more. But yeah, that is a pretty good barometer.
Which honestly means that unless Fox was on pretty significant PB pace, he would be losing. Now, it doesn't make it feel any better to be losing by this amount. But I don't know, is there any solace in knowing that unless you were having the run of your life, it wouldn't make any difference? I don't know. Maybe he can tell us. Doom coming up on one of the cooler tricks in the game called Spooky Action, where you mess with the elevation, whatever, values in the game to make it think that you are hitting switches that you're not actually hitting. And we're going to do it 3 times in the next couple of screens. And it's pretty sweet. It saves a lot of time.
Around 11 seconds. It's pretty nice.
2 down for Doomtap. 1 to go. There you go. So yeah, you see that last one, Doomtap shot a fire rod at a torch, which shouldn't do anything. But then right afterwards, a switch that was above him about 10 feet flipped, which is not how the game is designed, but we have broken this poor game in so many ways. And a nice, quick, easy, vitreous fight from Doomtap, which is what you expect.
All right, and Fox letting the viewers down by not lamping in room 420 like he said he was going to.
Oh, did he not do it?
No.
That's fair, man. Understandable. Oh, that's true. It wouldn't. Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't have been 420 anyway because he fell to Moldorm, so he had to do a couple of extra rooms.
No, those don't count.
Oh.
We already did those. It's fine.
Yeah, Doom currently about 25 seconds behind his PB for anyone curious. So, like I say, it's very comfortably on 124 pace right now. But we're coming up on Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower, both of which are not easy dungeons. So anything can, well, not, I say anything can happen. I've said that like 7 times now, I know, but a lot of time still to be saved or lost, depending on how these go. Put it that way.
Yeah, Doom is probably incapable of PBing still.
Oh yeah, certainly. There's not that much time save left for Doom right now.
But yeah, this is still excellent pace.
Oh, Fox struggling with the Vidi fight a little bit. I think maybe I'm not really sure what happened, but he missed out on the 0 cycle Vitreous. But it's better than dying. Dying to Vitreous sucks. A lot. And has happened several times this tournament, I think.
Vitreous has been the biggest problem this entire tournament, and I don't know why. It's just like...
I mean, I know why. It's because Vitreous sucks. So the trick, again, I'm preaching to the choir, but if anyone is curious, the trick with Vitreous, to kill Vitreous quickly, you have to kill all the little eyeballs surrounding Vitreous, because the developers of this game had an eyeball fetish, apparently. And once all of those eyeballs are cleared out, Vitreous itself, a giant eyeball, will come out of its little goo and start attacking you, and then you just have to hit it with 8 arrows. To finish the fight quickly, you have to put yourself in harm's way. By that I mean you take mandatory damage by walking around inside of Vitreous's like poisonous goo that it's sitting in. And if you do it really quickly, you're not really in any danger of dying, assuming you walk into the fight with enough hearts. I think you only need, 4 or 5? But if you miss one of your spins, or if something goes sideways, then you either A, die because you attempt to still do Vitreous quickly, or you bail on the fast Vitreous fight and you just kind of hang out in the bottom right corner of the room and wait for all of the little eyeballs to come to you, and you just kill them really slowly, and it takes 1,000,000 years. So.
Yeah. And more importantly than that, anytime you don't do something fast in this game, it gets more dangerous. Okay, Fox, trying to prove me right with this Death Mountain screen. Yeah, it's really neat, actually, that the better you get, the easier it gets, kind of.
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that with most bosses in this game, the best way to fight the bosses is very aggressively, but the problem with that is to fight bosses aggressively, you have to be pretty good. Doomtap had kind of an unlucky Chomps room. I don't know if there is such a thing as a lucky Chomps room. Chomps sucks. But handled it really well nonetheless.
Take one hit, and we're not going to see the fairy unless we wrap back around, which I suppose we
could.
Oh,
that's true.
So on 5 hearts, this dungeon is kind of intimidating.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
This is an easy RNG, at least. Shouldn't take any hits here. Gets the 8 bomb drop, which, oh well.
But yeah, that's you mentioned this way back when we were in Aghanim's Tower. There's a setup in Aghanim's Tower towards at the end of the light world that, if it goes right, essentially guarantees you a fairy drop here in Turtle Rock, which is important because Turtle Rock has a habit of dealing out a lot of damage. Doomtap did not get that setup, so he won't see a fairy at any point here. So he will have to be pretty careful about his... Oh, nice RNG on the double pokies. He'll have to be really careful about his health usage.
Yeah, this upcoming room, I don't expect it to happen, but it could happen. Doom could take a hit, which would be 3 hearts, and then he is going to want to take 1 heart intentionally in the room after this. So that's a little bit slow. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, 1 to 2 hearts, and like you said, there's one quote unquote mandatory heart of damage here in this dark room. You can hook shot and avoid it, but it wastes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's like a couple extra menus and
Yeah, Doomtap on 1 heart right now, so he is gonna need to be careful. We'll see if he goes for a fast laser skip, because I think he usually does.
probably not with. Yeah, he messed up out of the door, so it makes sense to not do it because there is a setup that we have for doing it, but it requires Well, got the 10 arrows.
Oh, nice arrow drop. Okay, so the only enemy left for Doomtap is Trinex, which Trinex does 4 hearts of damage, which is why Doomtap didn't bother picking up the 1 heart right outside, because it wouldn't have made any difference. Probably not going to be a problem. Trinex, again, like we've been saying, like every other boss fight, if you do it quickly, doesn't usually cause a lot of problems. But there is a... Yeah, we'll see. I'm just going to shut up and hope it goes fine. Okay, Doomtap played that pretty conservatively. Got the quick kill, but got out of the way just in case he didn't. That was smart.
Yeah, which you can only really do that when Trinex is high on the screen.
Whew.
Because when Trinex is low, you just don't have enough time.
I wasn't nervous. Not at all. That was fine.
That is why we get the fairy.
Yeah, well, yeah. You call it at the very beginning that Sankheart doesn't really matter in Dark World, except for Turtle Rock. And
yeah, Turtle Rock sometimes when it goes bad. Exactly. But...
Oh boy. Yeah, FSG. He still went for the quick Trinex kill, but he walked up above Trinex just in case. It didn't work. He wouldn't have just walked right into Trinex's face. Fox going for and getting the fast laser skip, so that's nice. Fast laser skip blows my mind. That's one of those things that like I feel pretty confident I will never be able to do.
It's probably easier than you think, but it's also pretty precise and not really worth going for a lot of players, since it only saves about a second or so. A little bit more than a second, but... Yeah, on to GT here, which is the hardest split in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not very likely to die, although we have seen it happen occasionally. Mostly you just lose time on every single screen. Lots of time constantly throughout the entire split. It is a very worthy final dungeon. It's a really, I mean, there's a reason this game is great, right? Like, it came out 30 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a 30-year-old game and people are still playing it. That's not a coincidence. It's a fantastic game. And this dungeon is part of the reason why. It's a really great final exam of, hey, look at all of the stuff you learned over the course of the last, I mean, casually, however many hours, 18 hours or whatever it takes you to beat this. And in the speedrun, it's still a very, hey, look at all of the things that you've learned how to do over the last hour and a half. And there's a lot of really, really interesting tech and strats and challenges that you have to face and overcome. Doomtap pooping bombs right now because he has a million of them. And he only really wants, I guess, he wants 2, ultimately. He wants 1 right now, and then he's going to need 1 more later. Okay, I don't think he meant to pick up that second bomb. It did cost him a heart. The health probably doesn't matter. It does slow you down a little bit because you'd prefer to have beams for one room. But it's not a big deal.
And Doomtap, because he got the 10 arrow drop in Turtle Rock, skipping the arrows there in that room before mirroring out, which is a nice little time save. But yeah, so the reason that Doomtap is dropping bombs, because ordinarily, you know, logic would dictate you want as many bombs as you can get. It's a menu optimization thing. Later, Doomtap is going to use a bomb, and then in the next room, or shortly after, is going to want to have the hookshot equipped. And what happens when you run out of an item is it automatically moves to the next item in your list and equips that, which, in this case, happens to be the hookshot when you're using bombs. So we want to use our last bomb, and then have the game automatically equip the hookshot for us instead of needing to manually move to the hookshot, which is nice. Doomtap with a nice dash through Ganon Ball Z. That was pretty sweet. Oh, a couple of arrows though.
Being on 0 arrows is also not what we want.
Yeah,
it's
it's not objectively a problem, but it's certainly not what he would prefer. Let's see if he picks this. Nope.
He's already menued. But in particular, this room right here, Gauntlet 4, is made much more consistent with arrows. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly not Doomtap's best gauntlet, but fine. Yeah, Doomtap now on 3 bombs after he did all that work to get rid of them.
He'll have time to get rid of them still.
The Gauntlet Rooms that Doomtap just cleared out through, and that Fox will be coming up on in a little bit, are so named because it's a series of 5 rooms in a row that are just really hard. I mean, that's the best way I can describe them, is they're just hard. They're hard to do. It's weird terrain because there's ice and there's conveyors. There's a lot of enemies and a lot of spikes in your way, and a lot of different RNG patterns. So you have to be able to read RNG really well. You have to be able to execute really well, and you have to be able to execute really quickly.
Fox's
very difficult to do those rooms well.
Okay, we got the truck.
Yeah. Oh, Fox, you're making me nervous. Okay, no problem. We're fine. Everything's fine here, all according to plan. All right, is Doom gonna drop 2 bombs in here? No, only one.
One, but okay.
Does he know? There we go. Okay, he dropped another one right there. Oh boy.
This has been a pretty solid GT from Doom.
Yeah. Nice Moldorm fight. No hover though. I'm disappointed.
Fox having a pretty decent gauntlet here, and that's why you can see the dash miss. Good recognition to cancel it and slash at the enemy, but the bow makes that guaranteed.
Really impressive movement control from Fox there in G4, avoiding a hit as he kind of traversed over the ice. Gonna miss out on the 1 cycle. Not really his fault. He played that well. Moldorm, or the Landmo, just kind of got out of his way.
That was an interesting damage boost to get the 3 cycle on Aga 2. I think that's pretty good, actually.
Okay, so Fox used an extra fire rod shot, did not pick up a magic drop. Should be fine for the lamps. But is just a tiny bit lower on magic than he should be, than he ordinarily would be. Put it that way. And Doomtap dropping into Ganon. I'm looking forward to this. In my opinion, Doomtap fights Ganon better than anybody else on the planet. So we'll see how Ganon behaves, but this should only take about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Give or take.
Depends on warps, which theoretically could be infinite, but expected amount is 4.
Yeah, so earlier we talked about RNG with blue balls fighting Aghanim and how there's a 50-50 chance of an energy ball or a blue ball. Ganon does a similar thing where in the third phase, there are 4 phases to this fight. Oh no, Fox took a Moldorm fall.
Fox was setting up to hover there. And I get the impression he hasn't done it very much because that movement was not what you want.
Oh boy. Anyway, in the third phase of the Ganon fight, Ganon warps around the room. And every time Ganon lands, there's a 50-50 chance that he will stay put and shoot fire bats at you, or he will just warp again. And you can only hit him if he does not warp. So the third phase sometimes goes by really quickly, sometimes it lasts forever. But once you make it to the fourth phase, which is where Doom was until he just finished, GG Doomtap. Once you make it to the fourth phase, then all it is spins until Ganon is dead.
Yeah, we did have a really nice cape spin in there too.
Did he? I missed it.
Yeah, this
wow,
is
really nice time for Doomtap.
1:24:20.
That is an impressive run.
What Fox didn't. Thank you, Doom.
Yeah, congrats to him. Wow. Fox, I don't know if that's a double or a triple. I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't either. This boss doesn't make any sense.
This should be a... Okay, I was about to say it should be a free 3 cycle.
Fox trying to cheat here. Not doing a great job of it, but okay.
All right, so Fox now starting the Ganon fight as well. And so Ganon, really enjoyable fight. Difficult fight, though, especially when you're first starting it out. There's a lot of timing and rhythm involved. So once you get comfortable with it, and once you get used to it, it becomes a lot easier. But when you're still learning it, not easy to do, because there's a lot of movement and a lot of inputs, and there's a lot going on that you need to become comfortable with until it gets. Because until you're comfortable with it, it's really, really hard. Fox so far no problems getting through the first and second phase really quickly, and no warps yet.
What we want to see here, stop warping. Excellent.
No warp. No warp Ganon.
2 spins here. Okay, this is good. And I don't think this will be doubles into triples.
Oh no! Is Fox just gonna take? Yeah.
That is not faster than finishing out the fight, but it is faster than restarting it any other way.
Well, I think he's done. He stopped his timer. Fox might be calling it.
That's understandable with everything else that happened already.
Really great start to the Ganon fight. That's about as good a start as you can hope for. No warps and then double spins before going for Torch Glitch. So what happened was Fox missed Torch Glitch, which is a glitch that allows you to only need to relight one of the 2 torches. Both torches have to be lit in order to do damage to Ganon during the 4th phase. And there's a small window of time where if you relight the first torch that extinguishes before the second one goes out, the second one will never go out. Fox missed that glitch, which would have cost him a lot of time during the 4th phase, and looks like opted to not bother trying after that point. And honestly, I don't blame him. Oof.
And we were joined by Doomtap, and foxlisk is also joining.
Hi, guys.
Hey, GG, Doom.
Sorry about the blue balls and everything else that happened.
That's okay. It was the most run I've had in a long time. I got 0 warps into the double on Ganon, and then I was like 1 pixel too high for the torch glitch just to top it all off.
Yeah, it started out with like gold Ganon potential, and then didn't.
That's okay. It's one of those days.
Yeah. Doom, how'd you feel about yours?
Obviously, it was pretty good, but I wish I weren't so nervous, so I could have taken advantage of all of the good luck. 'Cause it was a pretty friendly run. Not too much went wrong that wasn't my fault.
Yeah, not a lot of. I'm trying to think. Not a lot of like weird, big mistakes or huge chunks of time lost. It's just a little bit here and a little bit there.
What I could see was mostly overworld stuff on Doom's side.
Yeah, it was definitely. I still had the tournament nerves, even though I was pretty far ahead. But I don't know. Would have liked to have done better, but it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that you beat me by... There was no chance I was ever going to beat this run. Like, even if I PB'd by a lot, it wouldn't have cut up 124.20.
Yeah, and that's I said that out loud, and I am curious to see if you have thoughts on that, Fox. Does it make you feel any different, better, worse that it would have taken a massive PB to win?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
If Doom had like a 125.30 and I had this run, I would have felt like I threw it. This just feels like I'm not there yet, so this is the expected outcome.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't know. Obviously, this run sucks and 8 blue balls sucks, but like, more than half of the time save was just my fault.
Yeah.
The time loss, I mean. Like, I was just not playing well, so I can't even really complain.
Yeah,
just gotta play better.
It seemed like that Moldorm fall, which was kind of the first big, like, moment. It seemed like that first Moldorm fall was probably kind of avoidable.
It was definitely avoidable, yeah. And that was like the third big moment, though. I mean, I had a 58 escape and a 5:15 Eastern. Nothing good happened in the entire run.
That's true.
Oh
yeah, ZGR was not kind to you.
Well, it was double readies. I don't know, whatever.
I remember commentating one of your other matches, Fox, and I know at the start of this tournament, your Light World was... Like, if you had gotten this Light World 2 months ago, you would have been happy with it.
Maybe not quite, but yes, I get your point. Yeah.
Well, and I've been watching you a lot lately. You've been really knocking on the door of the 124. I mean, just last night you were on pace for a PB until Ganon warped 8 times.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think the GT you weren't very happy with, but you were still ahead. And then Ganon happened. So yeah, you're definitely there. It's just it just takes the right run.
Just gotta do it, yeah.
Cool. Any thoughts from either of you guys before we finish up?
I don't think so.
All right, Doom, I gotta know, are you gonna be watching the match tonight to know who you get to play?
I'm definitely going to be watching the match tonight.
Will you be sober?
That's yet to be determined. It depends how the match is going.
And Fox, I assume you're gonna still work towards the 124, and then I think the plan is to take a break after that.
Yeah, I definitely want the 124, and then I'm gonna want at least a short break. I think that I'm probably gonna go for more than 124 though.
Awesome.
But we'll see how I feel.
Well, thanks guys, both of you for great runs. Congrats to Doom. Congrats Fox for top 6, coming in as the 13th seed. That's awesome. You had a great tournament. And thanks ZSR for the restream and all that jazz. And thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks Dow for doing comms with me. And tune in tonight for Fricker and Dow. That should be a good one too.
Okay, so if you don't have anything more to say, I will give a short preview what's up on ZSR. As already mentioned, in about 1.5 hours we have the loser bracket quarterfinals match between Fricker and Dow TMB. Also in 1.5 hours we have our Ocarina of Time randomizer standard weekly NA. And at 10 PM Eastern we have the Zelda 2 randomizer weekly. Tomorrow at 9 AM Eastern we have the Ocarina of Time standard weekly EU. At noon we have the Majora's Mask Weekly. They are doing a great Fairy Sword RTA. At 1 p.m. Eastern we have another the second qualifier of the Wind Waker Randomizer Season 4 tournament. And at also 1 p.m. Eastern, there is another tournament match of the A Link to the Past NMG. It's the winner bracket finals between Wayne and Erira. And at 2 p.m. Eastern, we also have the Minish Cap Randomizer weekly race. That concludes our weekend. Maybe 1 or 2 matches of the A Link to the Past Randomizer group matches could be shown here on ZSR. Please check our schedule. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.